Stop ruining your shoots. If your client gets nervous and you don't deal with it, you're actively losing money. We're sharing the key skills you need to master trust and capture authentic emotion right now.
Welcome to Commercial Photographer, your guide to marketing, creativity, and growth. This is a podcast that helps commercial, brand, and headshot photographers navigate the competitive world of commercial photography with actionable strategies to grow your business.
Hello, Marcus. How are you doing?
Oh, Sam, I'm very well, thank you. How's yourself?
Very good, very good. And excited for this new show. We have one of our favourite guests. Well, they're one of our favourite guests. Back again, we have Colin Smith, the listener, with us. Hi, Colin.
Hi, Sam. Hi, Marcus. Good to see you both. And,
hello there.
Delighted to be back with you guys.
As you've heard, we have expert listener Colin Smith with us today, and he's sharing the crucial interpersonal skills that separate good commercial photographers from great ones. You don't want to miss 3 secrets for building powerful photography rapport building with every subject. First, you'll learn the non-verbal secret to establishing presence and ease the moment you arrive, ensuring your client doesn't tense up. Second, we reveal the specific, non-obvious prompt you must use while shooting to overcome resistance and achieve that perfect, genuine expression. And finally, you'll hear about the simple 10-minute practice that quickly improves your essential listening skills.
Lovely.
And yeah, last time we had kind of a wide-ranging discussion. We talked all about listening, and it applies to all sorts of ways in photography. But this time, we've had a bit of a chat, aren't we? And we've kind of got, I think, a bit more of a focused discussion this time.
Focus, that's a great word to use, Sam, because really on this show, I want to use Colin's skills and apply it particularly to a photography session. Let's just take an average session that I would do and most of our listeners would do, which would be a portrait in a studio or on location, and you're dealing with a client for the first time. You might have spoken to them, but this is the first time you've met them, Colin. The first thing that they always say to me when they come in, oh, I hate having my photograph taken. How do I deal with that situation?
Such a good question. I'm also guilty of that. Very difficult to have people come and take pictures of me. But the key, I think, is how do we build the rapport with them relatively quickly?
Yeah.
At the same time as knowing that it's to be done, being there with the sense of what I call ease, which is I've got all the time in the world for you. And the other one, which is a focus I make with my listening, as at this particular moment, for example, you two are the most important people in my life at this moment.
Oh,
Now, obviously you're not.
Damn.
Sorry about that.
Oh, it's getting sentimental then.
Yes, but the reality is that's the intention I have.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and I appreciate that photographers move from person to person to person, but for this moment, they are the most important. They are, sorry about the cliche, they are the one in the frame.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. Nicely put.
Right.
Yes.
And so the right from the moment we're walking up to their location or they're about to come in, start dropping away my stuff. Right. This is not about me. Mm-hmm. This is about them.
Yeah.
And the more we can get them to feel comfortable or create a condition where they feel comfortable, you both know, as does all the photographers, we're going to get some great photos. And it's the same when we work with children. You can't just rock up with children and start taking pictures. So, for example, when I go to see my 18-month-old, who I've seen many times, it can take anything between 10 and 15, 25 minutes before he moves away from his mum and he comes to me.
Right.
Yeah. Right. So anything I do to try and pressurize him is going to put a defense up. And I think that's true for us as well.
Yeah.
I think there's also the other idea is about meeting them where they're at. And if I arrive, and I use this metaphor of typically 2 people, and usually this is what's happening with them, right? No one's
Right.
connecting.
Sorry, just for our listeners out there, Colin is moving both hands rapidly in an agitated fashion.
Thank you. Sorry, I forget. Yes. So
No, that's
what,
cool.
what I
That's cool.
use is my two hands with my fingers out, spread out, and they're trying to connect to each other.
Right.
And typically what happens is the hands in this case, or the people's minds and thinking, is going in all sorts of different directions. Whereas if I arrive with my hands still and calm and ready to receive the other, now the other one will be all over the place, all over the place, and all over the place, and gradually they arrive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And when they arrive and connect, then we can start. So for me, if you arrive into the house where this is the location,
Yes.
and there's chaos around, we've got to help them settle. So our steadiness of our arrival, our presence, our no stuff for me, even though there's loads of stuff going on for me, I put it to one side. I'm then able to be with them for them to settle. And you'll know when they've settled.
This is the first initial meeting, isn't it? We're talking about at the doorway, as it were.
Yes, because you don't know what you're going to get the other side of the door. We don't know what's going on for them at this moment. And so how do I arrive in my way such that they start to meet me? And when they start to meet me, everything changes. You'll notice that their voice changes. They settle. It slows down. It's lower. They're less agitated. They don't move around so much. They're more focused. You start to get eye contact. And when you know that, then we've arrived. Right? They're now in a much better position to respond to any questions, which might be about, let's just go through what I understand you said to me last time when we spoke. We're looking at this, this, and this, and this.
So presumably, Colin, while you're doing that settling, the absolute worst thing to do is to start to ask about the shoot and talk about that. So you're just trying to connect and calm them, and before you move on to the kind of the practical stuff.
Yes, I had a coaching client who was always late. So I'd ring him about 5 past and say, "How are you getting on?" He said, I'm on my way. And then he'd literally run down to the coffee shop, and it could be anything between 15 to 20 minutes before he settled.
Yeah.
Now, typically it's slightly unusual, but it's the same scenario. So now you're in a position where they're more responsive to the questions you ask.
Yes.
Just make sure we're still on the same page. And also be honest, I'm just picking up that this may not be the best time. And they go, "You're right. This has just happened." Okay. And the kindest thing we can do, no worries, I'll come back. Or is there anything you need to do to bring you into that space?
As long as you're not a wedding photographer, maybe, but
Exactly. Yes. Well, we'd like to think that everyone's arrived at the wedding. But again, in preparation for the wedding, there's an awful lot of work has been done beforehand so that everyone is more comfortable for it. So once you've got the rapport, once you've got them settled and you're starting to build that rapport, then you can ask lots more questions. This is what we talked about. So it shows that you remembered or you've had it written it down. So they feel, actually, he remembers me, which is another important step in building that connection and that trust. What's also true is they will pick up your intention. So if my intention is to come in here, get this job done, get out, etc., they'll pick it up. And so they're on edge as well. But if you have this lovely ease, which is, even though you know you've got other things to do, they're the most important. I've got time. I have time for you. And
so other ways people can get that across, because some people find that hard, don't they? To get. So if that doesn't come naturally to you and you find it hard, are there things you can say, things in your body language you can do to help put across that impression if maybe you're not quite confident, about that?
Very good question, and you're absolutely right. So in terms of the body language, when you may be sitting there having a cup of tea, but I've got my arms closed, legs are crossed, I'm tense, right? We pick it up. So open up, open up with your arms, open up with your legs. You know what I mean? So look comfortable how you're sitting, and also lean in. Right? I'm
Okay.
interested in what you're saying, genuinely interested in what you're saying, because we pick it up from our own. There's something not right. It's almost like they turn it back to you and say, "Is everything okay for you?" And you go, "Yes, sure, I'm fine."
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's a good question. And so the more you're able to ask them questions, reassure them that yes, this is what we're going to do. Is there anything specific, any questions you have, any concerns you have? So again, I'm making it about them, not me. Okay.
Yeah.
Now I understand you. It's this, and this. Right. This is how I'd like to proceed. And we're going to go and do this. In my case, I needed photos of me from a business perspective and me to putting onto a dating site.
Gotcha.
Right. So
Two different things indeed.
Right. And so because he's a professional photographer, he knows the type of situation. So he might even be talking in a more business style while we're doing the business pictures. He might say, we're going to do shirt and tie, we're going to shirt and jacket. What is it that types of pictures? Okay, we're going to do that. And then looking around, he might say, maybe I'm not sure that the white goes with the black so well. Apparently there's some sort of color dynamics to go with those two. So he or she may make suggestions of different types of things for us. And then similarly, when we're maybe go outside and take some photographs for the dating site, then it's a different dress, maybe different tone of language that he or she may be.
Yes.
Right? Let's make it a little bit more amiable.
Setting the scenario in a different way.
Yes. Right. So because the way we show up in the business is going to be very different for the way could be quite starchy in the business world, but actually for the dating site, want a more relaxed look about us. And the more that you can make it, even though you're in control of it, the more they feel that they're in control helps them as well.
Indeed.
Because at the end of the day, the more they can settle, the more they can relax, the more they can chill and enjoy the experience, the better the photos are going to be.
Colin, I'm a bit of a people pleaser, well, maybe a big people pleaser. And I tend to go down the route of flattering people. And, and back in the day when I was working in fashion, that was all fine. And it was all the way it was done. I do worry a little bit these days whether it's appropriate. I don't know. It's a tricky one. But I do go down the flattering route. I'll normally say, I really like what you're wearing. Your hair looks great, or whatever it might be.
I think it's such a good point because it's like a fine line between you're just saying that. Don't patronize me.
Yeah.
Right. But by then, if you've done all the other work, you'll know who they are. You'll be much more comfortable with who they are, what they're doing, how they think, how they feel, and what's appropriate.
Is it also to do with the intent that you think is behind
underneath? Yeah.
And you get that across.
Yeah. And so maybe the appropriate language or the appropriate words and not be gushy because it sounds awful. And in fact, I was talking to Molly, my wife, about this call. And, from her perspective, it's nice to have compliments paid, but they need to be genuine.
Genuine, of course.
Right. And I think we can always find good things.
Yeah.
I can
that's your skill as a photographer. Sorry, that's your skill as a photographer to find good things or interesting things in your subject.
Yes. It might be I'm just picking up a real positive essence coming out from you. And people can't argue with that. So it's those subtle things that we can give them the compliments that just lift them up a little more. And as you say, because the starting point is we don't like having our photos taken.
That's right.
right?
You need to be, it needs to be some kind of confirmation bias going on in there.
Yeah. So, they've got to, so the moment it's over the top, you go, oh, yeah, you're just doing this over the top.
I think we've kind of really nicely talked a lot, haven't we, about that initial listening.
Yeah.
I guess part of it then is how you make sure you carry that on while getting the job done, so you can kind of sit and go, okay, I can.
Exactly, that's the question I was going to ask, Sam.
But next, we're picking up the camera and we're doing so it then becomes the challenge of balancing the doing while keeping that listening and that relaxed atmosphere, rather than it suddenly becoming a bit tense because we're busy doing the job, if you know what I mean.
Yes. And I think what's so lovely about technology today is you could take 300, 400, 500 pictures, and you'll get a dozen, 20 or whatever from it. Whereas in the past, hang on, I've got there's only a certain number of pictures I can take.
Yeah, exactly. 12 shots in a roll of film before you got to put another film in your back and then start again.
Yes. And I think one of the skills that photographers have is the ability to do two things at one time, which is take photographs and chat.
Yeah.
And they're looking, okay, what about this? What about that? Hey, look at this. Hey, what about all that? That's really what the camera people, the photographers are great at, the good ones. And they almost they know intuitively when to say certain things that bring the smile, that bring that magical moment that we're all looking for. And I think, again, going back to what you were saying, Marcus, some of the compliments can be paid at different times through that as well. So I think there's a lot going on, but if you've got underlying it the intention that I'm here for them, I'm not bringing my other stuff in, then there's a much greater chance that you're going to be able to build that rapport and maintain it through all.
Yeah.
Because if you start to drop off or get distracted, then they're going to notice.
Exactly right. And just to dig into what you're just saying, I think, first of all, you've got to be really 100% with your equipment, so you're not worried about your equipment, or get an assistant so they can deal with that, so you can give the full concentration to the sitter. And you were just saying about how do we get the sitter or the subject authentic and alive in front of us. So one of the tools that I use, Colin, is I get the sitter to think positive thoughts so their eyes light up. Now, so that's just one of the ideas that I'm used. Can you think of any others that you can maybe throw out to our listeners?
Yeah, I think to go slightly back into a different scenario is how do we get the photographers to practice listening better?
Yes.
And so you could have two photographers quite happily having a conversation with each other. And the idea is, and you touched on it, Sam, about going deeper, is they sit down for, let's say, 20 minutes, and one of them just talks about whatever they want to think about for 10 minutes. And the other person listens. And they listen in a way not necessarily to understand, because that's not important, but so that the other person feels heard. And the idea is, the setup is, I will not interrupt you. I will give you my full attention.
Mm-hmm.
And only if you ask me will I say, and what more? And people go, 10 minutes. Start with 5 minutes if you wish, but they seem 10 minutes a long time. When you start talking, people will talk forever, right? Which is lovely. But what happens is, because there's nowhere to go, they start thinking deeper and deeper and deeper. And what I'm saying is, practicing that with another, your partner or whatever, will help you when you're in the scenario or scenarios that we're talking about. And so once we've got that, what I notice is that when we're in that lovely space, the words that we need to say flow, because they start to come from a different place, because you're connecting, let's say metaphorically, heart to heart, as opposed from head to head. And when we connect from heart to heart, we're able to express ourselves in a very different way. Right. And I think that's part of the message, that they're starting to connect with the photographer in a different way. I have a sort of step by step, which is, the first is that we are we are talked at, or we are, and then the next phase is we hear from, we listen to, we're being with, and we are just being, or be. And what we're seeking to do, to start from the point, some of the photographers will arrive and start talking at, we touched on that. They start to hear from, you're still talking, but actually I'm now starting to listen to and be with. When we're in that sort of space, then we start to get that inner essence. Their eyes do start to light up because you're interested in me. And so that lovely phrase of, and what more? How many times you've been in a conversation and you're talking. The moment you draw breath, the other person jumps in.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I haven't finished yet. Oh, sorry. What were you going to say? And you go, I don't know. But if you drew breath and they didn't interrupt, they carried on talking. And then they drew breath. And then it was paused for a little bit longer. And then you said, and what more?
Yeah,
You're interested in me?
Yeah, that's very rare, Colin.
Right.
Yeah, that's rare.
But I promise you that I was going to say 99.9% people will smile when you say that. And then they'll talk some more. And so in the photographer scenario, this question, tell me a bit more about that. Because as they're talking, you're taking pictures. And that little smile when you've said, and what more, or tell me more, might be a golden one for you to pick. Might, because you're clicking, digitally, you're connecting all the time. It might be those moments. That was the one to take.
Yes. Yeah.
So in some ways, practice the listening you won't get by just going in and hoping for the best. Or find people to practice on. It sounds a bit odd, but like you said, fellow photographers, members of your family, and get it so it becomes something that you do naturally and something you're happy doing. And it will take a bit of practice. Won't it?
I play in a band and I've been doing music for a long, long time. And listening is one of the skills that is most appreciated from musicians. It's especially when you're doing like an improvised type of music. It's all about listening, and you get players who come along and you can tell they don't listen, and those are the ones that you really do not like playing with. Just something, it's just a thing. It's such an important thing in music, and yet people don't talk about it in photography so much.
Yeah, but it's the same thing. You're building connection. You're building rapport with each other. And as I touched on earlier, I'm blessed to have been able to sit in the sound booth on an outdoor concert, which is usually some way back in the middle. And on one side was the sound engineer. So he had earphones, so he's connecting to the conversations that's going on with the band.
Right. Yes.
He's also leaning out so he can hear the noise of the crowd.
Gotcha. Yes.
And also the noise, the real noise that's coming from the band itself. And just watching him, it was a study in listening.
Yeah.
And at the same time as he's doing that, he is playing his keyboard.
Mixing deck.
Yeah. It is extraordinary. And the concentration, right? I knew I was in the presence of a great listener.
Yeah.
So I'm with you on 100%. And I think that's the same. One of the things that people will say to a good photographer, a good artist, it could be a photographer, it could be a physio, whatever, is they listened. She really listened to me. Right. And then they responded in response to what I said. It didn't feel as though I was being done to. It felt like I was being with them.
Brilliant.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I have a feeling we can have a whole other show and apply this to kind of that sales and marketing space too, couldn't we? At another time, that's kind of a very, very similar thing, isn't it? You're going to have much more success and build that, be able to do better if people feel listened to and not just that you're selling them something.
Correct. I mean, I went to the Levi store. And I said, I want a pair of jeans like these. Now, because they did the usual, how can I help? And I said, tell you what, look, I want a pair of jeans like this. And he looked at it and he went, you bought them in the US. right?
Cool.
Because he knew the number and he knew the style.
Yeah.
And I went, oh my God, this guy knows his stuff.
Yeah.
Right. And then we chit-chatted about it. What's the nearest, what cut, all of those things. I ended up buying 2 pairs of jeans, walking out very happy and again, I remember that story.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Do you think jeans were in his jeans? Sorry, I'm sorry about that.
It's
Sorry.
okay. We can edit.
Who let you out, Marcus?
We'll
Jeez.
finish on, maybe we should finish on that.
Well, I did one about me in the frame, didn't I? So
You know,
Right.
I don't know about you, Sam, but I feel my heart rate has lowered by about 10 beats per minute just listening to Colin talking about
Always
photography
does.
there.
It
right.
does.
So take that point. Why do you think that is?
Well, because you've got a very relaxing voice.
Right. Thank you. But what else is going on?
Yeah, it's the listening. It's a conversation. We're having a conversation.
Right. So when we apply that to the photographer, talk to them like a human being. It's a conversation. Yeah. Imagine that the person you've come to see is your long lost brother. Arrive with that energy. Then people feel valued. They matter.
Nice.
That's
a
my
lovely
final
analogy.
thoughts.
Yeah,
amazing.
lovely. Sam, that was incredibly calming and insightful. Colin has given us the blueprint for a photographer rapport building. The first big takeaway for me was the power of presence. He showed us how crucial it is to arrive with a calm, open energy, setting aside your own chaos, because that simple action allows the client to settle and trust you. Secondly, he gave us a practical tool for eliciting emotion, that specific question or prompt you can use mid-shoot to break the tension and get a truly authentic look. And finally, he stressed that these are essential commercial photography skills you have to practice. That 10-minute listening exercise is the non-negotiable homework if you want to elevate your commercial photography client connections in the future.
And don't forget that you can get for free the Commercial Photographer Guide to Creativity and Marketing. After all, that's what this show is all about. To get your free download, all you need to do is go to our website at commercial-photographer-podcast.com/creativity. Let me do that one again. commercial-photographer-podcast.com/creativity. And from there, you can get your free guide from us to marketing and creativity. Thank you so much. Loads and loads for the photographers to go away and use and apply. And yes, we'd love to hear photographers back. If you practicing this with loved ones or using it using it with customers and how it works, that'd be lovely to hear.
I would add one thing, get in touch with me. I run every month, a couple of times every month, a session on listening. It's free of charge.
Oh,
but because the idea is, how do I spread the word of listening? Yeah. And we give you experience of thinking in pairs and also thinking out loud in a listening circle. So there's a chance to practice.
Yeah, perfect. How do people find you then, Colin?
So I'm on LinkedIn. If you look up Colin D. Smith or the listener, you'll find me. Send me a private message and I'll be delighted to invite you to these listening matters.
Amazing. That's perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
for being with us and sharing so much amazing information. And Marcus, I will see you next week.
See you next week, Sam.
And thanks for listening to this week's episode. If you want to make sure you never miss a show, head to our website and sign up for the newsletter. We'll be back next week with more practical advice to help you grow your business. See you next time.